advice that I would give to Latin American countries generally and to every other country in the world in terms of how to proceed with legalization begins by saying, first off, Americans, generally speaking, are not welcome in terms of giving advice. But my advice in that regard is don't repeat our mistakes. A few years ago, I had the honor, privilege of being invited to speak to the committee of the Mexican Congress. I've been going to Mexico since I was a little boy, and this was particularly an honor and a thrill, really, to do this. At this time, no one in Mexico was thinking about legalizing marijuana. And fortunately, that has changed very quickly. But my advice, I described the mistakes that have been made, and also, ironically, ended up correcting the lies that the Dutch justice minister had told them about the Dutch system. Welcome to the prohibitionist world. People lie about their own countries. We've talked previously about the Canadian police lying about the Canadian menace to the U.S. because of BC Bud. The justice minister is invited him to Mexico and lies about his own country because his loyalty is to prohibition. You can find a lot of that in America. The key point of that really is, the great thing about not being the first one, you can look back and look at the mistakes that other people have made. And you certainly, in the case of the United States, you can look at states that have done a terrible job of legalization and others that have done a very good job of legalization, relatively speaking. And in each of these cases, you can look and see what has worked. Colorado, I think, has done a much better job, for example, than California. You can find good things in all of these variations of things because of different physical situations. And they do. The leaders of these countries are now looking at the United States. They will also, Colombia's experience with the drug war has been only comparable to Mexico in terms of the devastating impact. They have seen the damage the drug war has done. Colombia is really a fairly advanced country. They have a very good medical system, and so doctors down there are looking at how to use medical cannabis in their practices and so on. All of these things offer real advantages, which if in turn we could get the American medical establishment stop preaching reefer madness and look and see how they can integrate cannabis into their practices. This is something where we can learn from our neighbors who have learned from us, or more precisely from our mistakes.